I can bring you in warm, or I can bring you in cold.
This is where the fun begins.
Hello and welcome to Jedi Knights, the official Star Wars podcast for JoyClicks. My name is Mike Connors, and as always, I've got my co-host joining me through the HoloNet, Christian Buckley. How are you, man?
I'm doing quite well, Mike. It's good to be back. May the Force be with you all on this
May
day.
the Force be with you.
Yeah, you know, something that stood out to me. I know we're going to be talking about Jedi Survivor today, but
Yeah.
there was a sequence where, we make our little Catholic joke all the time, but I'm not going to name names. Somebody said, May the Force be with you, and they were, met with, and with you. And I was like, bro, am I church right now?
Wait, wait a second. Are you saying that every time I've messed up, May the Force be with you, and responded also with you, that's canon now?
Apparently.
Is that okay? Well, then that makes me feel great, dude.
Yeah.
I've messed that up so many times.
Another win for the Catholics, Mike.
Yeah, as if they needed any
They're
more.
sorely lacking on that front.
Yeah, it's not like they have the biggest religion in the world or anything like that. But I'm happy that we're back, dude. I'm happy that we're back talking about Star Wars. It's been a busy month for the both of us, I think.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of life stuff happening,
Mm-hmm.
but there's always a constant, and that constant is the Force,
Mm-hmm.
Christian. Am I right or am I right?
It binds us, it penetrates us, it connects all living things. That's what he says, right?
It, yeah, it's very true.
Yeah.
Um, so I think the last time that we had a podcast was before May 4th. So I just want to say, May the 4th be with you. Even
And
though
also
I
with
think
you.
we did talk that day.
We did, yeah.
But Christian, because of the May 4th celebrations, Disney released Return of the Jedi in theaters, and both of us went to go see it, right? Separately, but we went to go see it.
Yes, I went to go see it with
Um,
my brother. It was a wonderful time.
nice. You wanna talk about your experience a little bit? What was it like seeing it on the big screen? Have you ever seen it on the big screen?
No, so funny enough, I think I texted this to you and Jack, and I swear I'm not trying to. Listen. If you listen to the show, if you're listening to this as your first episode, I swear to God, I'm not a sequel hater. But my immediate response to this was like, wow, it would be really nice to see like my second ever Star Wars movie in a theater, like because my brain is so conditioned to just being like, oh, the ones in the theaters were the six, um,
Yeah, yeah.
because I've only seen Phantom Menace in 3D when they started doing that trend before they got bought. Um, but this is the second classic Star Wars movie I've seen in theaters on the big screen, period. And it was a great experience. Went to an AMC theater, um, which typically a little too comfy for my tastes. I like having like a little support in my seats. But
Oh, wait, so you're anti luxury reclining chairs?
I'm anti recliner, dude.
Ooh,
For a movie
okay.
theater, like I gotta be upright, you know. I
You
gotta
gotta
be
be paying
attentive.
attention.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was talking to somebody actually recently who said every single time I go to one of those movie theaters, you bring sometimes it gets cold, you might think about bringing a big sweatshirt or
Mhm.
maybe even a blanket.
Mhm.
And then, you're in a dark, cold room. It's easy to fall asleep. It's very easy to fall asleep. I'm
Yeah.
not the type of person to fall asleep at the movie theater,
Mhm.
but I could see why some people would.
Yeah. I also like. I know if you really think about it, movie theaters probably disgusting, right? But I don't want to be comfortable where somebody else was comfortable. You know.
Okay.
You know.
So for you, comfort is like a
It's too
it's a
intimate.
personal
It's a little too
thing.
intimate.
Yeah.
You know.
Needs to be in your own home, like your own bed,
Yeah.
comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't need to be in the seat where like Michael, not not Michael
Oh,
Myers.
thanks.
What's the name of some guy that's like a toxic Star Wars fan?
Hey,
Um,
thanks, man.
like a Jeremy. No offense to the Jeremys out there, but like
Yeah, fuck you, Jeremy.
you know what I mean? So like Jeremy guy was like all hot and bothered because like Ray killed a guy. Like, oh, I can't stand. Like
Yeah,
if it's in
yeah,
a seat that's been there since like 2004, it has like no springs in it anymore, completely fine. We're all dealing with that. If it's something that I can like sleep in, no thank you.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I feel like you're right. Those maybe has like a little bit more bad juju, more
Yeah.
bad vibes emanating off of it. Kind of
Yeah.
ruins the movie experience because somebody was being misogynistic towards Ray in that chair.
Yeah.
So you need something with a little bit more that's been around longer, It's weathered. It
Yeah.
has a yeah. No, I know what you mean for sure.
Yeah. Uh I swear that Michael thing was a coincidence. I am so sorry. But
No, dude, that's honestly hilarious.
the the theater experience was good. It was probably like I think it started like 9, so it was like a late showing. Or it's
Oh
maybe
yeah,
like
yeah, you saw it really late.
yeah, I saw it late on the Tuesday also, the day before I went to New York. So um there was probably maybe like 10 to 15 people there total, including us. And
Honestly, that's a good turnout though.
oh yeah, this was like towards the tail end of the run also. Um
Yeah.
it was out for a few days at this point, but it was just nice revisiting it because it's been a minute since I've seen it. It was a long time since my brother saw it. He was like very impressed with how much he was impressed by it. He was like, "Wow, I haven't seen that thing in full for like a decade at least, and I'm blown away that it was actually like that good." And I was like, "Right? You should watch Andor."
Yeah, legit.
But how was your experience?
It was good. I think I went out on like a Saturday morning,
Ooh,
just
nice.
like hashtag vibes
Yeah,
to a
dude.
Cinemark.
Nice.
Um, Honestly, there were like it was like an 11 a.m. showing. Um, Wanted to go earlier, just like didn't pan out. But there were like a fair amount of people there. It was pretty cool. It seemed like a lot of people were really into it. Um, it's funny, like that movie is almost 40 years old, and like people are still like consuming it and like laughing at the jokes and like having a fun time with it
Mm-hmm.
all these years later. I think it really just speaks to how timeless like the original trilogy is.
Mm-hmm.
How much like and it was cool too because like I don't know, like there were like really young kids there, like maybe 5 or 6 years old. I don't know. And like just see you never know, maybe they've seen it before, but like I don't know, I like to think that that's the first time they've ever seen it, and that's a cool little experience to have, to see that movie in the movie theater. Because like you, I've never seen any of the original, well, outside of the prequels, which I saw at least the Revenge of the Sith in theaters. I remember that distinctly. Out of like the original trilogy, I don't think I've seen any of them in theaters. So this was really a cool experience. I think it's always different when you're able to actually go to the movie theater and sit down. There's something about it that's kind of magical.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I want them to do this more often. Like I would pay money to go see like Empire Strikes Back, A New Hope. Hell, let's bring Revenge of the Sith back. Like
Dude, Revenge of the
I
Sith
don't
is
know.
the one that I'm so mad because I remember I was going to go see it, but my brother is 2 years younger than me. So like my cousin who introduced me to Star Wars was gonna take both of us, and I think my grandmother was like, "Oh, you shouldn't go to that," and then my mom was like, "Oh, they shouldn't," because of like my younger brother,
What?
because he was like, what was that, 2005?
Yeah, so he was really young.
He was 5, I think.
Okay, yeah.
So like might be pushing it a little bit, uh, but yeah, robbed of that, but I'm hoping they will bring it back for the anniversary in 2 years. I believe they will in my heart.
Yeah, I think they will. Although like they didn't bring it back for like Attack of the Clones or anything like that,
Did
as far as I
they?
remember.
I feel well. Attack of the Clones is weird, right? Because that was like peak COVID. right?
Ooh, was it? I thought it was like,
Was it last year?
yeah, it was last year.
I'm
I
looking
don't
up
know. I don't know, dude.
Attack of the Clones 20th anniversary re-release. Um, yeah, I don't know,
But
but
like, but I've seen I went to go see Phantom Menace in 3D when they did that. I remember that
yep,
very distinctly.
same.
That was pretty cool. I honestly wish that they kept doing that because they only did that one movie and then never again.
Yeah, which is interesting because I believe they did the treatment for all of them, and the like slight remastering they did for all of those is the versions that ended up on Disney Plus, and that's why we got McClunky,
Oh, that's right.
which is cool.
Wow, that's really interesting, actually. Yeah,
Like that was the way to get more money out of Star Wars before they sold it, was doing the 3D
yeah,
re-releases. But I remember back then they were gonna do like one a year, which was crazy. Like, bro,
yeah. Well, I
do
remember
it
it was like,
one a month.
yeah, one a month would be. I don't know, maybe like two a year or something like
Yeah,
that.
sure,
Like
sure.
one in the beginning, one at the end. Like I don't know, but like because you could probably get Star too much Star Wars, you know.
True. I think I was thinking though, because I want to say Phantom Menace was 2011, maybe
I was
2010.
gonna say I think it was 2011. Yeah.
In that math, I was like, damn, it's gonna be 2016 before I get to see Empire Strikes Back. That's like 40 years away. You know,
Yeah.
I didn't want to wait
And
that
here
long,
we are.
and now I never get to see it until they do the 40th re-release of that or 50th. I don't know, man. It's crazy.
Well, yeah, I don't think they did a re-release in theaters for that one either. Like for Empire, like a few years ago.
Yeah, unless
Oh,
I
that was COVID actually. Now that I remember.
Yeah, well, it's funny because I remember that was another thing because of again peak COVID. Local theater, and this was before I had like even a single shot, so like I was not risking anything. But local theater was like, please give us money. You can come see Empire Strikes Back for $3. Like
Oh,
they
yeah.
were doing a lot of retro showings, so I missed it there. But you know, maybe I'm sure the smaller theaters can probably do events, and maybe we get something.
Yeah, that's possible. Like I go to a Cinemark a lot and they have like the Studio Ghibli movies or whatever.
Yeah.
And they do those. They have like the Fathom events like every month is like a new showing of like one of a like another Ghibli movie.
Hmm.
Um so yeah, they should do that for Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, I'm about to be near Alamo. So Alamo, I know there's like
Whoa,
tons and tons and tons of retro showings, but you
dude.
got to work with the mouse now. You know, maybe there's some licensing there.
Yeah, probably. I mean, dude, Alamo, that's sick actually.
Yeah, dude.
Um I've never been to one of those, but I've heard stories.
I I saw Guardians 3 there. It was a nice experience.
Nice. They're really strict about like people talking and stuff, right?
They are, but I also that was my first Alamo experience, and it was a brunch thing. So like I had like a Bloody Mary and a giant pretzel. So like it wasn't like the ideal experience. It was still like kind of
I
like there
mean,
was some low lighting so you could see your food, but
oh, okay. I was gonna say that doesn't sound so bad.
no,
Bloody
it was
Mary
very
and
nice. It was very
Guardians.
nice, yeah. Um, but I'm curious how you feel about this with like theater culture, since we're talking Alamo.
Yeah.
Because I did see some of this with Return of the Jedi being re-released. A lot of the earlier showings, like the late night early showings of this, was like meme fest hype house. Like it was people like Rocky horroring it, of like screaming out lines, like being very memey about it, like celebrating it in a way that's like very vocalizing it and like outward, the way that like some of the more extreme Marvel stuff happens. Which
Are you talking about Return of the Jedi?
no, yeah, Return of the Jedi, people were like full
Oh,
blown like cheering, like like into it, like you know, like Rocky Horror does that thing where like you see a live version of it and the audience like riffs with it
yeah,
constantly.
yeah.
Um, and they were kind of treating it like that. Like it wasn't my experience, but I saw it on TikTok and Twitter, and there was a big discourse about it. So I'm curious how you feel about that, because we've all seen this movie so many times, but like I was talking to my brother about that. Like, it's like I get it, but it's also like a lot of people get to see this for the first time in the theater, and that's a special experience because Star Wars changed movies. So like, how do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been like okay with people like, cheering during a movie and stuff like that. Like that's not for me. That's like not really how I watch movies.
Mm,
More of like a silent participant.
same.
Of course, like in those moments, I'm like, oh wow, that's really cool. But I don't feel the need to like cheer or clap or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's like for, that's like when Infinity War comes out, opening weekend type vibes.
Yes.
When it's a movie that's 40 years old, I'm not really sure if that's like the right way to be going about it. Although it's like, who am I to say like you can't get excited over Star Wars? Like that's like the most hypocritical thing of all time. So it's like, I guess I'm of the mindset of like, I don't really understand it to begin with,
Mm-hmm.
but I've always like had just a whatever, like people do what they want kind of attitude, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same page. Like, there's a time and a place, and I get Star Wars is like we all love it so much, and it's like very fun to celebrate it that way. But like, if that's the vibe, I'm probably not gonna go like in the first few days of whatever the next re-release is. I'm just gonna go in as like 9 or 10 at night on a Wednesday, like,
Yeah.
chill.
I
Because
mean,
um,
what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna add in again my main concern. We all know the meme fest that is Revenge of the Sith. I don't want to be sitting there,
Uh,
people reciting the
yeah.
whole damn movie. you know.
Honestly, yeah, that would be pretty rough. I would just be like, shut the fuck up. Like, we've all seen this movie 1,000 times,
Yeah,
clearly, if we're
like
reciting it.
if
Like,
you're seeing it at not an Alamo, but if you're seeing it at a theater, like the day it gets to re-release with like alcohol, sure, but like again, if you're in like the middle of nowhere, man, I don't know, chill.
I think some people go like way too crazy at movie theaters. Like, I don't know. I went to go see No Way Home
Oh yeah.
what when that came out, and it was like opening weekend. And you could ask Jack about this because Jack was with me, and it was just like the worst theater experience I've ever had
Hmm.
because people were just like super hyped about it, but they kept like interjecting and like speaking during the movie and like trying to make jokes and stuff like that. And it's like, bro, we did not pay however much money it was for this ticket to hear your shitty joke.
Hmm.
Like, like it's just super annoying. Like, I understand that like people will get excited and I'm all for like cheering and stuff, but when it gets to the point where you're like disrupting the the people around you and their experience watching the movie, I'm not for that at all. Like honestly, half the people in that movie theater probably should have been like taken out, if it were up to me.
Yeah. So just an interesting thing I noticed, and it that clearly wasn't every single showing, but
No.
again, the big fear was like, brother, it's gonna be rough out there when Revenge of the Sith comes back. 'Cause-
Yeah, and it still might be.
it absolutely will be, but like, yeah, I'm gonna have to, I don't know, Monday or something. The
Yeah, I
last day
think
it's there. I don't know.
the last day it's there in the morning or
Yeah,
something.
I'm
I don't
taking
know.
work off.
Yeah, honestly, I'd take work off for Revenge of the
No, I would
Sith.
too. Yeah.
Um, I don't know. It was fun though. I just like seeing Star Wars movies. Honestly, if I wasn't gonna see it on the big screen, I just would have watched it at home. No, not actually, but maybe. Um,
Yeah.
so it was fun. I always enjoy a good theater experience.
Me too. Got to see the trailer for, as you'd expect, considering uh, the Indiana Jones trailer on the big
Yes,
screen right before it. I was like, hell yeah, excited for that.
yes, that's gonna be hype, dude. That is so hype.
Yeah, Can't wait. I just saw they're adding all the movies and Young Indiana Jones to Disney Plus the end of this month.
Yeah, this is kind of an aside, but still Lucasfilm, I guess, so related. Um, have you ever watched the Young Indiana Jones series?
I rented from my public library when I was younger one of the DVDs. I don't know if it was every episode, but I watched a couple. I don't remember anything about them except like showing how he got his scar, I think.
Hmm.
That might
Yeah, I
even be
haven't
Last
seen.
Crusade. I don't know, but
Oh, yeah, that's Last Crusade.
yeah.
It's the very beginning
Yeah, they
when
might have done
like
an episode
he's
like
on the
that too.
train.
I don't know.
I mean, yeah, they did a ton of episodes, but I mean, I've only seen a few of them as well, but they're actually really good.
Oh yeah,
Like
I liked it a lot.
they have like the charm. They have like I don't know. It's just cool to see the backstory and all the cool adventures that young Indy went on. And dude, I am so excited for Dial of Destiny. It looks so ridiculous. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, but I'm so ready for it. Like it looks silly in the best way.
Yeah. I'm curious because that's James Mangold. He's also doing Dawn of the Jedi, not Dawn of the Jedi, the first Jedi, whatever uh the original Jedi Bible story is gonna be. That's him. So
Yes. Yes. Yeah, is it Dawn of the Jedi?
it might be that might be like the working title or something, but
Yeah.
excited.
Well, regardless, good stuff all around. Also May 4th, Christian, Star Wars Visions Season 2 came out. Have you watched any of this yet?
I have not yet. That was the midst of me taking care of moving, but tell me about it. What episodes have you seen? What are the highlights? How does it compare to season one?
So I've seen maybe the first 3 or 4 episodes. I can't say. I think it's the first four. Um, so the difference between this season versus the first season was all Japanese animation studios. All of the episodes were in an anime style, um, which I'm not like the hugest anime fan, to be honest. Like it's not really my cup of tea. I didn't hate season one. I just like I just there were some that were better than others. Um, but I kind of thought that it sometimes like it kind of lacked in just like visual differences.
Hmm.
They all kind of looked similar. Some of the stories were pretty good, but this season, it's not just Japanese animation studios. It's animation studios from across the world. They have an episode from a studio in Spain, an episode from a studio in the UK, in Ireland, etc. And I think that kind of lends it to more diverse stories in a way. Not just like in terms of like the actual subject matter, but like the visual art itself. Um, for instance, there is this really funny one that's done by the studio that created Wallace and Gromit,
Heck yeah, that's what
and
I'm
so
most excited for.
yeah, so it's basically like it's like Wallace and Gromit in Star Wars without Wallace and Gromit, of
Oh,
course.
it's a shame.
But like that's just like a silly different kind of like vibe,
Hmm.
right? And then like, there's this really good one, my favorite of the ones that I've watched from the Irish studio, which is more sort of like a 2D kind of more like laid back sort of visual style. Then you have like the first episode where it's like very much abstract visual style, not quite Wallace and Gromit, not quite Irish studio. And I just like that drastic difference between all of them.
Hmm.
Each one has its own unique sort of visual identity. Whereas that was true in season one, I just don't think it's as pronounced, if that makes any sense. Um, so, so far, I really like it. I think my favorite is the second episode, but the name of it, but it's the one created by um, the Irish studio That one I think is so far out of the ones that I've seen the most personal story.
Hmm.
Um, it's the maybe the most depressing of the ones that I've seen, but like good at the same time.
Hmm.
Uh, so yeah, so far I really like it. I'm kind of just slowly making my way through it though.
Nice. Yeah, I'm very excited to get to it. The different animation styles is really cool. I love season one of Visions, and I do partake in some anime here or there. So I was a little hesitant seeing them branch out from the commitment to just one culture that they did with season one, but hearing what you're saying, it sounds like it delivered, so that's exciting. Um, I'm looking forward to checking it out. And do you think that this banner continues? Like, do you think Visions continues as its own fun little one shots, sort of like a better version of what Marvel tried to do with What If? Of like, let's just non canon, doesn't have to be tied to anything. Do what you want with it. Do you think this continues?
I definitely think this continues. I just think it's a really fun idea, you know? Like I and I think a lot of like the hardcore Star Wars fans really appreciate it. And it's something that even if you aren't a hardcore Star Wars fan, if you just happen to stumble across it, I think you can get a lot of enjoyment and entertainment out of it as well because they are one-shot stories, you know. Um, it's pretty accessible, it's easy to get into, and it sort of I think it expands the universe, the Star Wars universe in a unique and different way. Um, all of these stories, they don't really have much bearing on anything that we know about Star Wars. A lot of them, most of them, well, I guess all of them really have main characters that we've never met before in places that we've never seen in times that are indeterminate. Like we don't even really know when they're happening. And I think that there's something special about that. You're not sort of constrained by like what's come before you. They're given more freedom to do what they want, and I think Disney sees the value in that, and I think the fans see the value in that. So I would assume that this continues to happen.
Nice. Yeah, it seems like this is something they're gonna commit to because I have not seen a single like negative response to this. Like outside of the people who are just like, oh, I don't get it, but like um the fandom seems to have embraced Visions pretty strongly. So yeah, I'd love to see them keep experimenting with this because it kind of is like a micro burst of refreshment, because they're not beholden to the timeline or the Skywalker saga or any of these things. So I think it's cool. I'm glad they do this. I'm glad that it hopefully has a future.
Yeah, I agree, man. I agree. Definitely some good stuff for sure. Um, let's talk more about Disney Plus real quick. I'm just going to skip ahead of the doc. Uh, Disney Gallery, they're doing it behind the scenes on the production of Mando season three, and that is going to be releasing on June 28th. That's pretty exciting. I always like seeing the behind the scenes of these shows.
Mm-hmm.
Um, are you looking forward to this, Christian?
Yeah, I recall. I think I watched the season two one. Yeah, no, I did because that was mostly just about Luke's. I think.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. That was like when they revealed the whole like Kit Fisto
yes,
thing.
right. Yeah, but yeah, these are usually full of really interesting drops of like production stuff or like what we thought about happening, things like that. So I'm curious. I want to see if they get in the weeds with like this very clear shift in focus from where season two left off to the follow through of Boba Fett in season three. Like, I want to see if Filoni and Favreau touch on that at all in the production aspect or like talking about working through changes as they were shooting, if that was the case. Like, we're usually good to get some stuff like that out of these. So, yeah, I'll watch it end of next month. We didn't get one for Andor, did we?
I don't think we did. No,
Malarkey.
that is malarkey, big time. That would actually be the. It would have potential to be more interesting than the Mando season three one, in my opinion.
Yeah, I know Andor was also, we've mentioned it already, but that was peak COVID when they were shooting that. So like maybe they were limited to like
Yeah,
the number of people they had on staff, and if they had to cut people, it's like, well, cut the documentary crew. Like we don't need that, you know.
yeah, that's that's a possibility for sure. I just like I don't know. Ever since I got like the prequels on DVD and like the box set of the original trilogy, I've always been obsessed with like the behind the scenes stuff.
Me too, absolutely.
And I think that that's kind of like those that Star Wars behind the scenes stuff has really piqued my interest just across filmmaking in general.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I always make a point to go back and watch the Disney galleries of the behind the scenes for the shows because it's just cool to see how the sausage is made, you know.
Did you ever watch? This is not Star Wars related, but it is a very good special features. Did you ever watch any of the behind the scenes for the like late 2000s Nolan stuff with like the Dark Knight, Batman Begins, Inception? Because the special features on those Blu-rays were very very interesting.
Yes, yes. I do remember watching at least the Dark Knight one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, it's just like there's something inherently interesting about the filmmaking process
Mm-hmm.
um, that I've always been super dialed into. Very much interested in production and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, so very interested to see what little tidbits we get out of Mando season 3 because I'm sure there's going to be some cool stuff.
hell yeah. Um, Speaking of upcoming TV shows, Skeleton Crew with Jude Law and a cast of kids, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Jaleel White, who you may know from Steve Urkel fame. He's the guy who played Steve Urkel. He is playing a pirate in the upcoming Skeleton Crew show, and he was talking to Sportsnet and said that the Disney Plus series is set to release in November or December of this year. So that is really cool news. We're getting we got we got Mando this beginning of the year. We're gonna get Ahsoka, and then if this is true, we will be getting Skeleton Crew. And I think that's a good lineup for 2023.
Yeah, I think that's a solid year. Skeleton Crew, I'm hopeful for. I know they love comparing it to Stranger Things, and I love Stranger Things, but I love Stranger Things because it is like 80s horror, like schlocky, kind of dark.
Yeah,
So if this is skewing more on like whimsical Goonies rather than Stranger Things, like that's still cool with me. I'm down. This could be fun. Good holiday vibes.
they have they have described it as Goonies esque. I
Yeah.
think, um, like they've taken inspiration from those types of movies.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, dude, Goonies is like an all time fave.
Yeah, Goonies rules. Great movie.
So yeah, I'm excited for this. I hope that this is actually true. You never know with production. Things can change in an instant, depending on what else is coming out. I know that Disney's also releasing Echo around the same time, right?
Yeah, that's
The
November.
the Marvel show.
Mm-hmm.
So you never know, but it's promising for sure.
Yeah, I am looking forward to it. It seems like it's gonna be different, at least compared to what we've gotten for a while now. But it also falls under the Mandoverse, right? So
Hmm.
we shall see how things follow through on that. Do you think we
Yeah.
get some tidbits of Thrawn in this or anything like that?
Uh, Maybe. Yeah. I think if anything, we're gonna see that in Ahsoka, but
Sure.
This will probably build on it for sure. Um, Moving away from Disney Plus though, big news released today, May 18th. Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser. We all know and love it as the interactive multiple night experience that you can get at Disney World in Orlando,
Two
in which
nights,
you,
to be specific. It is only two.
okay, two
worth
nights.
worth prefacing that the price gives you 2 nights, but continue.
Yeah, the price, we've talked about it before in the show. The price, at least back when we talked about it, was absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah,
Super expensive.
for those that don't know, I believe two guests for the 2 night experience was like $4,800.
That is insane.
Yeah,
Insanely expensive.
for a family of four, I believe it is 6,000.
That is crazy. Well, no wonder that it's not working out for Disney. Nobody's paying that much money to go to the Galactic Star Cruiser because it's closing. It's closing this September for good. They announced this today. Kind of surprising because it seems like they put a lot of stock into this. You know, just over the years, developing it, building it. It must have cost, God, I have no idea, but it must have cost, millions, if not like $1 billion. I don't even know. Um, it's quite extensive, but they are shutting it down, and they didn't say why, but it there has been signs, according to The Verge, that this experience has been struggling. In March, they announced that they would start scheduling two bookings per week in October, down from a typical 3 to 4 weekly bookings. So that is like, not great sign, but you know, nothing you can extrapolate at the time as to this is just gonna not be a thing come October. Um, but I mean, you just look at the price tag alone, and in today's economy, who can pay for that? Like, who has the money for that? Like, nobody does, unless you're super super rich. So it's not really it's not really surprising that it's failing, but it's just surprising that it's happening so soon. I think because it opened in 2022, so it'll be open for less than 2 years.
Yeah, it's really fascinating. Um, I think the theme park industry is just this fascinating beast to me. I know nothing about it, but like anytime I learn stuff about it, I'm like, really? That's wild. That like how much money is in this? How much like investment there is? Like how central it is to so many companies like bottom line. Like
Yeah,
it is fascinating. And like the science behind all of it of like designing parks and like the like engineering that goes into just like traffic of like the people walking through, like it is wild how much goes into these things. But specifically with this experience, like I remember when they launched it, they were talking about it as being like this thing they were pushing for, right? Of like, we want this to be the future of theme park experiences, right? Like an immersive, like LARPing type
yeah,
thing. But yeah, man, like there's a lot of other stuff going on with Disney World that I don't think the move was make a premium, high budget, exclusive elite hotel. It was probably make things cheaper, you know?
yeah, yeah, man. I was thinking, you bring up a good point that this isn't just like any hotel, right? Like you get sucked into this narrative
Yeah.
that they're setting up in the Star Wars universe, and you're playing a part and all that kind of stuff. Do you think that maybe people were intimidated by that? Like, think about it. If you're going on a trip, going on a vacation, you kind of just want to experience it. At least me, you just want to experience it at your own pace, you know, and not have to feel like you're, I don't know, it just seems like kind of overbearing in some ways, that like it makes me wonder if people like weren't doing it because it was just a lot like to go through, you know.
Yeah, I can see that. Um, I mean, it seems like a Star Wars fan's dream in some ways, right? Where it is like you get that immersive experience, you get to go to the park, you get nice, you get to go on the rides, you don't have to like worry about planning a whole Disney vacation. Like this should have been like
But
the package for that.
it's geared towards kids though and families. So it's like
Yeah,
not just like a 20-year-old Star Wars fan like us. Like
right. But at the same time, it's not because like the pricing of it, right? Like
yeah, yeah.
for that much of an investment, it's like, hey, this should be for the person who has, I don't know, like they're making over six figures and can do this because they like Star Wars, right? Like that's what this feels like. It was like it feels like they didn't know what they were trying to sell with this, I guess. Um,
Yeah,
which is a bummer because I would have loved to do this eventually, you know.
sure, sure. I think it was created for people like you and me
Yeah,
in some ways.
if the price was like $1,000, I probably would have tried to do it in the next couple of years. But like,
Yeah, if it was somewhat reasonable.
yeah, because the real kicker, Mike, the thing I always come back to, because I remember talking about this on the podcast when they launched this with like the park press that they invited for all the websites and blogs. They don't include drinks with this even. You're paying over a semester of college for a lot of people,
Yeah,
for like
yeah.
tuition at least. And like you can't give me a fucking yub nub or a fuzzy tauntaun, like bro.
Yeah, you know, legit.
That's extra, please. You know, like God.
Yeah, it shouldn't be extra. I feel like a lot of the time, like this, something like that should definitely be included.
Yeah, like for what the experience is, for it's an immersive thing, for the price tag it should be all inclusive and it wasn't, so like that's crazy.
I guess I'm just surprised at just how much of a big miscalculation they made on this. Like, they lost money on this for sure.
Oh yeah.
Like for sure. How much money they lost, I'm not sure, but it definitely didn't perform to their expectations. So it's just crazy. It's just crazy how it ended up.
Yeah, man. uh if you got to go, congrats. I'm sure it was an incredible experience. I Some mutuals of mine had the chance to, like, they went and they thought it was like amazing, and I'm sure it is. It's just like,
Yeah.
man, what a what a
I mean,
yeah, what a thing to invest in, you know, for Disney. Like, immersive hotel that nobody can afford. Wow. Great
yeah.
idea.
Yeah. It's one of the easiest ways to blow $6,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, hey, if you like you said, hey, if you were able to go, you know, you're part of an exclusive club for the rest of your life.
Oh yeah.
So good on you.
Yeah, but like, also think about this, man. That could have gone to like another ride. Like that investment of what they did to
Oh
do this
yeah.
hotel. Because I went to Galaxy's Edge. I'm gonna go again, several times in my life, I'm sure. But like, Rise of the Resistance rules. That's a really cool ride. Smuggler's Run, the Millennium Falcon one, it was solid. I don't think I have to do that again. You know. Um,
Yeah, you do it once kind of thing.
yeah, like I was lucky enough to be able to pilot the thing. Me and my girlfriend, we were the pilots, and I was like, okay, okay, I literally have no other reason to do this again. I don't need to be the gunner. I don't need to be the person who like does the latch. Like, I'm fine. So, like, just seeing the way they've expanded with other rides and stuff, like I feel like it's Star Wars land. Like, do another Star Wars ride. You
Yeah.
only have two.
Yeah. Well, they seem like they're putting a lot of their eggs in one basket here with the Galactic Star Cruiser. It just didn't work out.
Yeah, but we will
Um,
see.
you'll see. It does come at an interesting time. I thought this was just like interesting context.
Hmm.
Uh, they also announced today, CEO Bob Iger said that the company is canceling its plans to build a $1 billion development near Orlando, Florida. I don't think we should get too into it. There's been a lot of back and forth with Disney and like the government, the state government of Florida. Um, and so it just doesn't seem like the greatest environment for them to be in. There's a lot of animosity between the two.
Hmm.
So it's just interesting interesting to think about the other things that are happening with Disney in Florida at the same time. And I wonder if it has anything to do with it. But my gut reaction is no. I think that they just miscalculated on this and it's just too expensive for most people and no one wanted to go. So,
Yeah, like I'm sure every single Star Wars fan that isn't one of the wackos would have gone if they could have afforded it because like this is a one of a kind thing, you know.
mhm.
Um, I'll also say before we move on, if you're interested at all in the theme park shit, like I think I've talked to you about this before, but I heard about this thing for a long time and I finally watched it earlier this year. Defunct Land, the YouTube channel.
Oh, I have seen an episode that they did on the Nickelodeon theme park, which I actually went to as a kid.
Very that's wild that you got to go to that, dude.
Yeah,
That's was it fun?
that it was fun.
That's cool.
SpongeBob showed up at the breakfast, bro.
Hell yeah.
Come on.
Uh, but yeah, if you're at all curious about the theme park stuff, watch the history of the Fast Pass documentary. That was mind blowing. Like genuinely, that was one of the best documentaries I've ever seen. It was hook, line, and sinker. Fell for everything they were telling me. I was like, "Good lord, this is fascinating." And I
Interesting.
they were trending on Twitter today, Defunct Land, because I guess people were like, "So when's the documentary about the Star Cruiser?" Because we got to know what happened.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be something.
Yeah, somebody make a
Eventually.
book. I'll read it.
Oh, dude, somebody's gonna write about Galaxy's Edge at some point,
They
like
gotta.
they got it. I mean, because Galaxy's Edge as a whole, extremely successful.
Oh yeah,
Great
absolutely.
idea.
Hmm.
But Star Cruiser, Galactic Star Cruiser, kind of a miss. Big miss.
Yeah, I more than anything, I'm very interested to see what, if anything, is next for Galaxy's Edge in terms of expanding that because it's
Mhm.
been there for a while now. Like that was, I want to say,
Yeah.
2017 is when that started. I think that was around Last Jedi it opened up.
Hmm.
So like, we're due for something. I know it's gonna take like
Yeah,
3 years once they announce it, but like, announce something, a new ride, something
I'm sure they will eventually.
for sure.
Last thing here on the dock, Christian, let's talk about Jedi Survivor pretty quickly. We talked briefly in our last episode just about some of the performance issues that it was having, especially on PC. I have to say that I haven't really given it another chance since then. I was of the mind where I was like, all right, I'm gonna give it like a week or week and a half and just see if like, they could put out some patches and everything that sort of improve my experience. But I just like haven't really jumped back into it. I will for sure. Um, but yeah, that's kind of like where I'm at with it. Um, Although a lot of people are saying that, some of the issues that it had at launch are, slowly and surely being fixed, and it's, as good as a game as people were saying at the beginning, bar the performance issues. You've had a chance to play through a decent amount of it, so I'm kind of curious what your thoughts are so far without spoiling.
Yes, progress wise, according to some brief Googling, I'm about halfway through the game. I'm putting it down until I finish Zelda, I think, and then I'm just gonna get back because I found a very natural like stopping point before things pop off in Survivor. But yeah, I'm playing on PS5. I think I'm like 20 hours in. I spent a lot of time on that first planet where the game kind of opens up and there's a lot of places to explore and optional stuff to find. I'm playing on Jedi Master, which is the second hardest difficulty. Um, Story wise, it is great to catch up with Cal again. I think he feels like a much more. I liked him in the first game, but I think he feels like a much more defined character this time. Like he feels like he's like got the sauce now. You know, like
He has Riz.
maybe that is really it. But in the first game, I feel like anybody could have been that character. You know, like anybody could have been the lead of that
Yeah.
game. But he really does feel like he stepped into himself as a character and as a Jedi in this game. Um, and I won't get you know in the weeds with anything that happens so far, but um, a lot of the new characters I've been introduced to so far, I really like. Um, it seems like there's some pretty obvious setup with some of them for future stuff, but returning characters, Greasy Money, love seeing Grease. He's great.
Oh, yeah.
There's what I really love is on the first planet, KOTOR style, similar to the Ebon Hawk, where you could return to a cast of characters who you were like growing as the game goes on. There's a very similar mechanic in Jedi Survivor where it's a cantina instead of a ship, where you'll meet NPCs that will convene in this area, and you can always revisit it, in the middle of your exploring, in the middle of your questing, to check in with a lot of them, talk to them, learn more about them. It's like a mini game there, which is pretty basic, but yeah, pretty much across the board though, it does feel like as a game, technical issues aside, it's just a huge step up from Fallen Order. Like it feels like people love saying like, oh, this is the Assassin's Creed 2 moment, where like Assassin's Creed was a cool idea, but then the second one like really delivered on that. That feels like what Jedi Survivor is for me. Like combat feels better with the stances, character writing, banter. The realization of the story feels so much more solid than it did before. Like it was a good foundation, but this is like really interesting, intriguing. The locations I'm going to are really, really cool and exciting in Star Wars. But yeah, as far as PlayStation performance goes, I've been playing on fidelity mode, which is the one that aims for 30 frames, and for the most part, with like one exception of one area, it's maintained 30 frames for me. I've had one crash in 20 hours. That was after some of the patches, but there was a fifth patch that dropped today. But yeah, I love it. So I really, really enjoy it, but I'm looking forward to getting back to it.
Yeah, man. I don't know. Like I said, I kind of just got like turned off when I had all those performance issues. So I'm looking forward to just like getting back into it and playing it. I think I will, maybe this weekend or something like that. If anything, I just want to know the story.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what happens, so I haven't been spoiled or anything, which is pretty incredible.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I've heard, again, not getting into specifics here because I've also managed to dodge spoilers, but I've heard it goes like some wild places. Like, maybe this is just like wild for the people that don't know what like the like greater universe outside the movies are, but like I've managed to stay spoiler free, and apparently there's a lot in store for us in the second half of the game. But
very cool.
yeah, do you have any specific questions that you want to hear about?
Yeah, I'm kind of interested in hearing about like gameplay in terms of like you've put like a fair amount of hours into it. Like, how does it feel in comparison to like the controls and the movement and stuff like that. How does it feel in comparison to Jedi Fallen Order?
So due to the addition of, I mean, it was in some of the trailers, but like there's times where you're not alone when you're exploring. Um,
Yeah.
and due to that, there's a new keybind on R1 or one of the bumpers for me. So I wasn't able to. I only spent like a couple minutes trying to do this because in Fallen Order I remapped attack and block to be L1 R1 because that is how I played Sekiro, and I think Fallen Order plays very similar to Sekiro in terms of the parry, deflect, saber combat, and I wanted to replicate that. But here, I couldn't find a good alternate for whatever is now binded to R1, so I'm playing default controls. Took a second, but I got used to it. As far as combat goes, I am very pleased to report that I am barely using single-bladed stance.
Okay, cool. So mostly, what are you mostly using?
So I finally unlocked everything. There are 5 stances, I think. For most of the time that I was like, exploring before progressing the story, I was doing Darth Maul double-sided and dual wielding because
those are the first two you got. Yeah.
yeah, they are, and it's also kind of min-maxing where it's like one is really fast and moderate damage, the other one is like really good defense, not as great damage. Like I was covering my bases with those. Crossguard is very powerful, but it's very slow. And on the difficulty I'm on, I like being fast on my feet and being able to, like, if I go for an attack and it was a bad idea, I can recover quickly. If you go for an attack with a crossguard and it was a bad idea, you're paying for it. Like you're slow with that. So I might need to spend some more time with that stance. But yeah, I've definitely used that the least. That was the last one you get, I think. The blaster stance, though, that's fun. That's cool.
That does sound like a lot of fun. How does that work? You could just because I haven't gotten that far.
So you have blaster bolts that you can recharge by doing melee damage with your lightsaber. And, like in your combos, you'll do like a lightsaber hit. Cal will do like a twirl and then like smack somebody with the back of his blaster, which is fun. But you can do ranged attacks. I think it's binded to your special. So on PlayStation, it's the triangle button. On Xbox, I think it would be like Y. So if you hold that, you aim the blaster, you let go, you fire the blaster. And I think you start out with like 6 blaster bolts, I think. And that can like stun an enemy if they're about to do like a, like the red body attack that's like, you can't block this. If you do the charge blaster on that, that'll knock them out of that animation, so you can like rush in and like slash them a bunch. It is very reminiscent of Bloodborne, not fully, but it is speaking to me on that level. So I'm mainly doing that, and I think dual wielding is where I left off. Those two is my main, because you can only have 2 at a time. So
that sounds like really cool. I like how it's. I mean, they definitely could have gone the route of like, you have a blaster, you can use it whenever you want, kind of thing. But limiting it in that way, making it so like you have to do melee damage to sort of charge it up. I think it's a good little. Adds a little bit of difficulty and strategy to it, I think.
Yeah, and having the benefit of range is nice. Like if there's an enemy with a blaster in the back and you are focusing on like a shock trooper or something and they keep annoying you, it's like, okay, hold on, lock onto that guy, pew pew, done. Now I can just focus on the melee fight. The tricky thing though is I wish you could have 3 toggled, because I really, really surprisingly love double bladed in this compared to Fallen Order.
Oh, you like double bladed better. Okay, that's what you mean.
Yeah, in Fallen Order, I hated using the two-sided. I like it was cool, but it felt like it was useless in every single encounter that I had in that game after I got unlocked that. Like it just felt like it was a lesser way to play it. Maybe I was thinking of it the wrong way, but here it's my kind of preferred basic stance compared to single blade.
Yeah, I got to the point where like you first find Grease.
Hmm.
Um, that's not a spoiler. That's like really early in the
Yeah.
game. Um, and yeah, that's like at that point you have the single bladed, then you have the double bladed, and then the dual wield.
Hmm.
I found myself using the dual wield a lot, um, at least when I was playing for the short time that I was playing.
Yeah, dual wield, I think out of the whole bunch is my favorite, just because it is very fast. But double sided, dude, one of the abilities you can get is like the Darth Maul dive spin.
Oh,
It's
nice,
super cool. I've used that a few times. Oh, it's nice.
nice. You know what I like about this game is that you can actually dismember people.
Yeah,
You
very cool.
can, like cut off their arms and stuff, which I thought was like silly that they didn't put it in Fallen Order, but not a huge deal. I'm
Hmm.
happy that they did it in this one.
Yeah, I think it's funny that like outside of like mechanical things, it's only arms. I think that's funny. It's like hands and
Yeah,
arms that fly off. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, another huge thing with this one is customization. Lot of options for that in this one for Cal. Different
Yeah,
outfits, hairstyles, beards, BD
a
one's
lot
got a
of
bunch of good
ponchos,
stuff. A
right?
lot of ponchos. You can get a poncho.
You
Uh,
can.
yeah, you can. You gotta look for it on the starting planet, but you can find in full Cal's original Fallen Order outfit
Oh, cool.
in
That's
different
nice.
pieces. You gotta find it in like different chests across the map, but I found like
That's there.
most of it. Yeah, it's there.
That's cool. Yeah, I like how you can change his like, his facial hair and his hairstyle and like all
Hmm.
that kind of stuff. Really, really put yourself in Cal Kestis' shoes.
Yep. And you can toggle saber color out the gate this time. So wherever you
Hmm.
left off, I got my yellow saber back almost immediately. So
That's what I did too
hell
when I
yeah,
first got. Yeah.
hell yeah. Did you switch to yellow or what color did you use?
Um, I'm rock. Well, I haven't played it in a bit, but yeah, rocking the yellow.
Heck yeah, dude. Cal's a yellow lightsaber guy.
Honestly, I think maybe just you and I are yellow lightsaber guys.
No, well, the thing is, well, both of us are green. Like in our personal Jedi training, we're green.
That's true. That's true.
But for Cal, yellow fits. And I was told from friend of the show, Jack Martin, he switched to yellow at one point, and then he couldn't change it back because he was like, "It just works." I was like, "I'm telling you."
Yeah, Cal Kestis. That should be his canon color, not blue.
Yeah, but maybe one day they'll retcon and make the real, true story. I don't know.
Yeah, they'll go back and change all of the cover art
Yeah, yeah,
to just be yellow.
yeah. But yeah, I'm very
Or
happy with it. It's again very unfortunate the state that it released in. I'm sure Respawn wanted it to be a better, smoother launch, but like it shipped, and a lot of people have not beaten it, checked it out yet because of that, which is unfortunate. But it is a very strong experience, much better than Fallen Order, I think, and honestly, probably the best Star Wars game you can buy in 2023, performance aside.
yeah, I mean that seems to be the consensus for sure.
Yeah,
Um, well, awesome, man. Good stuff.
yeah. I hope you get to experience it soon.
I
Truly.
I will. I will. Don't worry.
So we'll do a big spoiler talk once you both beat it. So
Yeah, for sure. All right, man. Anything else you want to say about Jedi Survivor?
I don't think so. It's gonna be a minute before I beat it because of Zelda and travel, but yeah, if you're
We'll
enjoying it
keep.
out there, keep it up.
Yeah, we'll keep checking in for sure
Heck yeah.
about it. All right, man. Well, why don't you take us out to sea, Christian?
Sure thing. Mike, where can the listeners find you?
Follow me on Twitter at Mike P. Connors.
You can find me on Twitter and TikTok at Chun2D2. You can find the show on Twitter at Jedi Knights JC. You can find it uploaded every episode on youtube.com/joyclicks under the Jedi Knights playlist. If you want the audio version, go to your favorite podcast service like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play. Look up Jedi Knights without a K. That is Jedi, Nights. Or look up Joyclicks. You'll find it. If you enjoy the show, rating and reviewing is the fastest, freest way to help us out, help us reach more people, and grow the fam. Because, Vin Diesel's back out here with another Fast and Furious movie. It's all about family, Mike.
It's all about family, man. It's always been about family.
Truthfully. But we will be back with more Star Wars. But until then, we're fine. Everything's fine. How are you?
May the Force be with you.
Oh, yes, you're right. Beep is up.